All right, welcome to another episode of Lifeline. This is where we just take random subjects and just talk about it. And sometimes we'll do questions that the students will email us and we'll address it. Or if we see on the forums that we see a lot of chatter about something, we might decide to use that as a topic to talk about during this Lifeline. Today, I'm alone. Greg and Jesse are not here with me, and I'm feeling kind of awkward that we can't do the, Greg always does that during Lifeline. Today I want to talk to you about mindset, because there is a lot of chatter on the Facebook pages primarily about how long this test is to wait. And they'll ask, is it really that long of a wait time? Why is it that long? Can I speed it up? Can I get a test date faster? I would have never done this program if I didn't think, if I knew I was going to go through all this. Blah, 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 blah. That negativity, okay? So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Hopefully can clarify a few things. Is it really taking long? Well, depending on what you consider long, the answer is yes. 12 to 18 months to get a date. That's from when you apply to when you actually test. It's not like you apply 18 months later, you're just then getting a date for 3 months out. No, not that. It's you apply, and usually around the 12-month mark, they're looking to get you a date so that by 18 months, you're done. Does it speed up? Yes. The problem that they have, one is limited locations, or when they do get a location, limited examiners, so they have to train examiners, and that's a process. Okay? It takes a little bit of time. The other thing is the program must be doing something right because there's more students enrolling. No matter how much the negativity is out there and people are like, I'd never do this program. Well, obviously, people are still doing it. Okay? It can be sped up. Oh, let me go back to the length of time. Another reason why it's taking so long. You got somebody that says, I don't want to wait 12 months to 18 months for a test date. I'm going to take the first one they offer me. Just because they don't want to wait. And then the student's not prepared, and they go to test, they've taken up a test space, now they've not passed. Now they're going to take up another test space, all because they didn't want to wait. It's like, it's okay not to want to wait, but it's stupid not to be prepared. If you go take a date, don't just take it just because. Take it because you're ready. If you're not ready, don't take it. So those people, I like to think of as somewhat selfish, because they're taking up spaces that you might be ready for, and then they go mess it up. You see what I'm saying? So that's part of the delay as well. We all know, do y'all know the current pass rate? Oh, I'm hearing 68%. Hot. Okay, good. We're in the 40s. Okay. Maybe on a good week there might be a 68%. But out of that percentage, 99, I would say 97 to 99% are our students making those numbers. Okay? So, if that tells you that there's a lot of students testing and a lot of students not completely prepared, that's causing that span of lengthy wait times. Okay? It's not just their fault. Okay? EC gets blamed for a lot of it. They're out there looking for new locations as fast as possible, and when they get one, they're trying to hurry up and train, but that's a process. And you got to remember, a lot of the hospitals are tied into traditional programs. They don't want a non-traditional program coming into their school. In Atlanta was like, why do we want students from all over coming here, taking up space where our colleges could be putting nursing students through? You see? So Excelsior has a fight ahead of them trying to just get a location. Okay, so just mindset. Yes, I know that maybe you weren't told when you got into the program that there was this long of a wait list, and maybe you're bitter about that. But hey, if you've gotten to this point, you're at the point where the only thing that stands between you and the NCLEX is this weekend. So why not learn and study as much as you can so that you ace this thing on the first time and then go into the NCLEX? Why not just change that mindset and say, I'm almost there. I'm this close. Because what are your other options? Your other option is drop out of EC, go to traditional, which means hard to work, hard to deal with a family, because you're going to be in classroom. And you're going to have to start all the things over again, because a lot of this stuff will not transfer to a traditional program. So that's your option. Drop out of nursing altogether, drop out and go to a local school and have to start from ground one, or just bite the bullet, change the tone and the thought process, and get it done. You're this close. Okay? So that's one of the mindsets. Now, can you speed it up? The answer is yes and no. You can't just come out of the gate just applying, and then tomorrow you want to speed it up. Okay? You can't do that. You got to give yourself time to study. But if your job is on the line, and they no longer want an LPN, and they need that RN, and they're willing to create a position for you based on you taking the test, you can have your company send a letter saying this position no longer exists. And we need them either to get out of the job that they're in or hurry up and finish this test. Now, if you do that, Excelsior is willing to work with you and your company on that. But how bad is it going to look if you go submit a letter and they say, okay, we're going to give you a date in 2 weeks, and then you're not ready? Don't submit a letter until you know you're pretty close. So get yourself prepared first, then submit a letter. Okay? Does that make sense? Don't jump the gun, because if they give you a date and then you're like, oh, I'm not ready, they're like, dude, you sent us a letter. We're doing you a favor. And now what? You see what I'm saying? Don't do that, because then you're going to go to the bottom of the list. And it's going to cycle back through. Okay? So, yes, there is a way to speed it up. They might verify it, though. So you make sure it's legit. Don't be lying about it. Don't be having somebody make it up because they got to verify it. Okay? They could call it random and say, hey, I'm an LPN looking for a job. Y'all have any? And if they're like, oh, yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, now you're in trouble. You see? So don't make it up. It's got to be legit. Or maybe a student is going into, say, the nurse practitioner program, and they've got a spot for the fall, and they need to get through with this in order to get there. That might be another way. Okay? So I already talked about taking a date just because. Now, let's talk about listening to negative talk. On the internet, there's a lot of people that I hate Excelsior. There's a lot of people like, oh, I love the program. I love this hospital, where somebody else say, I hate that hospital. You got me? If someone fails somewhere, they hate Excelsior, they hate the hospital, they hate the program because they failed. They're going through a grieving process, so they hate the world right now. They don't hate themselves, though, and that's the person they should be pointing the finger at. Okay? So you'll have those people, and then, of course, you have the ones that think everything is just roses. And that's not always true, too. We like the ones that are real. We like the ones that are like, yes, it was hard, but the content wasn't hard. It was just the hype and the mentality of it. So you want to find those people who are on an even playing field that's like, yeah, okay, some of the examiners weren't the friendliest. However, if you know your stuff, blah, blah, blah. Those are the kind of people you want to listen to, not the negative people. Also, if someone says they failed me on blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, that's one thing they failed you on. You have to fail 2 things. So where's the other one? What's the other story? You see, they don't tell you what they did wrong. Maybe they forgot to ID a patient on the first PCS. And then maybe the second PCS, maybe it was a blood pressure that they failed them on. And they're like, they didn't like me, so they failed me on blood pressure. Okay, well, that's one. What'd you do on the other one? And they don't want to come out and say, oh, I forgot to ID a patient. It's like, oh, okay, that's a critical element. That's a bad nurse if you don't ID your patient. You see what I'm saying? So whenever you see a story that's only telling one situation, they're only telling half. And the other half is on them, and they don't want to come out and say it. Those are people you run from. Run. Okay? Mindset. Get away from it. You surround yourself with like people. People that are going through it, that are willing to be positive, that are determined, that are willing to work hard for it. You're going to find study buddies, and one's going to pull the weight and one's not. You have to learn to separate yourself. You can still like your study buddy, but from a distance. Know your boundaries. Know your worth. Know what you bring to the table, and know what they bring to the table. Find somebody that mirrors you. And if they don't, find someone that you can communicate with going, hey, look, I feel like we need to get on the same page, and if we don't, we can't study together. Find somebody who's got a test date similar to yours that's about where you are. If you've got your mnemonics memorized, you want somebody that's got their mnemonics memorized so that you're on the same, not somebody that's like, what's a mnemonic? Well, okay, you don't want that because it's uneven. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Okay? Mindset is everything. When you go to test, if you say, oh, I hope I pass this thing. Okay, well, now you just spoke into existence that you may not. Okay? How about saying, I know it's going to be hard, but I'm certainly going to go in and I'm going to fight for it. Now that's determination. You're not being cocky going, I'm going to pass this thing. However, you should be telling yourself that. You should be saying, I know it's going to be hard, but I got this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the best that I can do. Okay? And you prep and do everything to get ready for it. Change your wording. When you find yourself saying negative, you're already speaking it into existence. If you believe in the universe and the energies of the universe, you bring negative. You ever been in a room where you just got that one negative person and you can feel it? Or when you're like, I got a household of 4 kids, and when they all 4 are on a tangent, one can get on a tangent and the other 3 will follow. And it's like, oh God, give me a drink. Because you can feel, you can cut the tension. Okay? That's what you're doing. So what is the tension like? What are you projecting? Because what you project is going to bounce right back. Okay? So you have to make it positive. You have to look at the good side of everything. If you're having a bad day, you have to turn it into, it's a learning point. Why am I having a bad day? There must be a lesson to learn. Maybe I need to learn patience. Maybe I need to learn that it's okay to mess up. Maybe I need to learn that I'm pushing too hard and I'm not getting rest. I'm not eating right. I'm not getting enough sleep. And maybe I need to learn to stop and pace myself. But there might be a lesson in it, okay? I always tell students, if you don't pass the CP&E, look for the lesson. There's a reason why you didn't, and it's not just because you messed up on something. It's because there's something coming in your life that life needs you for right now, and it's not the CP&E. It's not the NCLEX. You have to understand that. If you can understand that and accept it, you'll get through the grieving process better. Okay? But if you're positive and you invite that positive energy in, then you're going to reap what you sow. So if you're positive, you're studying. Okay, for instance, you don't have kids. You don't do pediatrics. And you're like, I'm not around kids. I'm not around pediatrics. I don't know how I'm going to study. Okay, well, you just spoke that into existence that you're going to bomb if you get a pediatric patient. You just spoke it. Instead, why not go to a daycare? Go to a daycare, hand them all of your credentials, which is more than the Joe Schmoes they hire off the street to watch your children. Okay? Go to them with all your records. Say, I'm in nursing school. I need to learn how to do diapers and feed and play and communicate with kids. Can I work for you for free? Chances are they'll be drooling saying, honey, I'll pay you for that. Okay? You can get peds experience. Don't tell me you can't. You got friends who have kids. Okay? Hopefully you do. Go over to their house. Say, hey, can I babysit for you? You and your hubby go out. I'll watch the kids. And then practice on them. Make it fun. You see what I'm saying? There's a way around it. So when somebody comes up and tells me I don't have any peds experience, it's like, well, get it. Who's stopping you from getting it? You can find it. You can get it for sure. Do you see the difference? You either make excuses or you make it happen. Right? If you don't have experience with drainage systems, that's fine too. You can go to YouTube. You can watch it. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as the way EC does it, but you get the visual. Don't make excuses. If you're like, oh, well, you don't understand. I work 40, 50 hours a week. I've got kids. I've got a husband that's not supported, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so why are you going to take a date in 30 days? Why not stretch it to 6 months to allow yourself for those hiccups in life? You have to analyze your situation and figure out what is it going to take for you to get there in order to do it. Okay? Self-actualization, that's part of Maslow. Okay? You got to figure it out. Nobody knows your situation. When somebody calls me and says, should I go to the live workshop in Atlanta or should I do the online? I can't answer that. Only you know what's in your way. Only you know how you learn. You know, do you do better being around people or can you do it on your own and be around people virtually? The choice is yours. You know, I joke and say my menopausal women, because I'm right there with you, we need to hear things over and over and over. And during the live workshop, we can't do that. We got to hustle. We got 3 days to get it through, you know, get through everything. So if you need that redundancy, the online's better. It's going to help you more because then you can play a video over and over and over and hear it. Okay, you may need the classroom time, but you may also need that extra of the videos online. But that's only you know that, okay? So change your mindset, and every time, you know, if you just started a jar and every time you had a negative mindset, throw $1 in that jar, you'd probably be pretty well off by Christmas and have you some spending money. You know, but change your mindset first and get away from the negative people and the negative thought process. I always believe that you can make anything happen. You know, they say if you're an associate degree nurse, you can't be a charge nurse. You can't be in management because you're only an associate degree. That's baloney. If they need you and you're good, they'll use you. Now, they may want you to go back and get a higher degree, but it'll happen. You know, I have people telling me, oh, well, you can't teach nursing students without a master's degree. Baloney. Or they'll say, oh, you can't write a book unless you have so many years experience in this, or you have a PhD, or you have whatever. No, not true. You can do whatever you want to. If you set your mind to it, you'll find a way. There are ways around it. Okay? You can write a book at any age for any reason. It's up to the people to buy it. You see? Doesn't matter your experience. It's your opinion. It's a book. If somebody wants to read your book and they think your book is good, regardless of your experience, it's a good book, right? Okay? Never let anybody tell you can't do something. If you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen. Okay? So that's my lifeline for you today. I hope y'all got something out of it.